No Risacher, no Porzingis, but still they robbed the Orlando Magic. Yes, our Atlanta Hawks are now 1-1 after taking care of business down there in Orlando. Welcome back to Hawks Digest. I am Chris Tipmore. The 1-1 Atlanta Hawks. Hey man, I am excited about it, and they do it in comeback fashion. We're definitely going to get into it. You know we got to, but I hope you left those shoes by the door. Leave on your shoes. Take off your shoes. Leave on your socks, should I say? About to mess up my own stuff. But regardless, it's just an exciting time because we're in the win column, and you know the first one is always the hardest to get. But before I get into the report, definitely and always, thank you for making us one of your first listens to the ones who are subscribed to Hawks Digest when you need that Hawks content. And I'm telling you guys, the season has started. Become a part of the Hawks Digest family by hitting that subscribe button and becoming a part of one of the groups that are just taking the YouTube world by storm. Like I said, Hawks Digest. Become a part of the family. But oh yes, Hawks Magic. First meeting of the season between these two teams. And of course, the Orlando Magic, they defeated the Miami Heat on their opening night game. And of course, we remember what happened with the Atlanta Hawks, taking defeat at the hands of the Toronto Raptors. But on this night, when these two teams clashed, it was a different result. Looking for the Atlanta Hawks again being able to come away with a 111 to 107 victory. Now I admit, it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. The Atlanta Hawks, they were behind it, and they did all this despite shooting 27% from three, ultimately only hitting 8 out of 29 three-pointers tonight. Now again, this is another night to where both teams didn't shoot well from the three-point line at all. It wasn't relative. So it was 9 for 32 for the doggone Magic. So at the end of the day, neither team really shot well from the three-point line. But ultimately, it was one point in time, the Hawks, they were 2 of 14. Like, it was absolutely terrible. And you just saw that at one point. I remember seeing that they was 1 for 7, but they were 2 of 14 from the three at one point in time. And ultimately, it just wasn't a good shooting exhibition. But even though all that was going on, the Hawks still kept fighting, still kept persevering. And that's exactly what I thought in the Toronto Raptors game until Jeff Carter reared his ugly head and the Hawks gave up that 20-4 run, and it was over with from there. But in this particular game, you saw it in the fourth quarter, the Atlanta Hawks were able to make a run. The Atlanta Hawks were able to come back in that fourth quarter because the first three quarters, especially that second quarter, when Orlando scored 37 points, Hawks wasn't even able to get to 30, only 26. So that quarter right there was really when Orlando tried to walk away, and the Hawks were down by 10 at halftime. But the Hawks kept fighting, kept trying to claw away. And in the fourth quarter, that's when it finally broke for the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks were able to go on a 15-0 run. A 15-0 run against those Orlando Magic. And my goodness, guys, like, it was such a beautiful thing to see because ultimately they went on a 22-5 run as well. And that 22-5 run ultimately led for these Atlanta Hawks to outscore the Orlando Magic 33-21 in the final quarter. Orlando went 0 for 8 from the three-point line, while the Atlanta Hawks turned up their three-pointers and went 5 for 8. And I was thinking, like Atlanta, you're going to have to knock down some threes. You're going to have to in order to combat against these Orlando Magic. Franz Wagner, he's doing his thing out there. Pablo was doing his thing. But ultimately, and then of course, you know, where it was already short with Zaccharie Risacher being out. I knew that he would miss this game because he had twisted that ankle. So on Tuesday night, on the opener, on Wednesday night's opener. So I just knew it was going to be something like that. Now Kristaps Porzingis, apparently he missed the game due to flu-like symptoms. For those who didn't know where those two guys were at. So yes, the Atlanta Hawks were able to rob the Orlando Magic, even though they were missing two of their starters. You love to see it. Couldn't happen to a nicer team. Now the Hawks made only two of their first 20 3-point shots again. That's where it was coming. So that's where the 8 for 19 come from. And again, the Magic missed all 8 of their 3-pointers in the final quarter. So you had a team that was cold a little bit, but they finished strong. And it's not about how you start sometimes. It's about how you finish. The Atlanta Hawks cleaned up that mess against the Toronto Raptors as far as their points in the paint. They won the points in the paint battle 58-52 today. This was a more physical game. I think so as well. Like these two teams play each other very physical. They know each other very well. So I was expecting to see more so of like a physical game. Just, two teams that just kind of like, I don't like you. I don't like you either. So you definitely seen that too. Fast break points were a little bit lower. 18 for the Atlanta Hawks, though, winning that battle to 15 for the Orlando Magic. The biggest lead, of course, Orlando had a 14-point lead. But again, the Atlanta Hawks being able to have that 15-0 run to take the lead. Bench points was big because the Orlando Magic had 33. Atlanta was able to keep up with them at 32. Points off turnovers, Atlanta with 20. 13 for the Magic, as the Orlando Magic had 21 turnovers to the 16 turnovers that the Atlanta Hawks had. So yes, but there are a few things I want to get into. I'm going to kind of trickle some stats in between these guys, but I definitely want to talk about them for sure. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I would like to start with Nickeil because Nickeil had a first game debut to forget. Being 2 for 15, but he came back at it tonight. And one thing about Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he is not afraid to shoot the ball. He is not bashful at all. But that's fine. I'm cool with that. Overall, I am cool with that. 30 minutes tonight for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He went 8 for 18, and that was for 44%. Now it's funny because he shot 10 threes tonight. He only made 1. So that's 10%, of course. 19 points still, even with all that, even only making 1 3, still was able to drop 19 points because, of course, he made 7 field goals that were inside the 3-point line. So for those who care about the plus minus, yes, he was -1, but he still gave you 4 assists, gave you a steal, gave you a rebound, only 1 turnover, and gave you no personal fouls. No, Nickeil Alexander-Walker did not foul tonight at all. So that's a great omen right there for the Atlanta Hawks. Great way to bounce back from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Again, a guy that's going to be a difference maker out here, I believe so, absolutely. Trickling in a little bit of stats. One thing that was hurtful for the Atlanta Hawks, I believe, tonight was 2 things, actually. Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels. Jalen Johnson, why? Because not necessarily from his efficiency, he was still 5 of 10 from the field tonight. And he made both of his free throws, something I love to see. The same thing that Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the guy on your screen right now, had done as well. 12 points for Jalen Johnson, -12 for the plus minus, but he still was able to give you 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 turnovers, and also 5 fouls. So, so right there, you don't want Jalen Johnson in trouble, in foul trouble, like how Dyson Daniels was in foul trouble the previous matchup against Toronto, because you saw how that kind of just really disrupted things. You didn't have a guy who was also could defend against different things because he was on the bench. Going back to Dyson Daniels, not necessarily the fouls. I know he still had 4 fouls, I'm not necessarily mad about that. He still was a plus 10 overall. So he had 6 points, only 2 turnovers. He did have a block. He did have pick up 2 steals. He also had 4 assists, 9 rebounds. My goodness, I just love that, love it. But ultimately, like I said, he was 3 of 7 from the field, 42%. Didn't attempt any threes. Only 6 points for Dyson. He was doing other things. For me, for my most improved guy, I would like to have just a little bit more. If he could at least gotten to double digits, possibly, I feel like it would have helped overall. Jalen Johnson, just for him, like I said, foul trouble. I believe he is going to be key for the Atlanta Hawks. So, being able to keep him on the floor, being able to keep him active, I believe that can be a good thing for the Atlanta Hawks, and something that they should just continuously try to do, keeping him and a guy like Dyson Daniels, getting them guys going as well. Not mad at Dyson, just want to see him, get after it a little bit more on the offensive end. Now, I would feel like, honestly, I'm more so nitpicking than anything with that. But still, moving on to the next major thing I want to talk about is my guy Trey Young here. Now, Trey Young, I admit, he didn't have the best shooting night because it was only still 38%. He was 7 for 18, 1 of 6 from 3. Still, again, knocking down only one 3-pointer. But those free throws, they were there. 10 of 12. He missed 2, but he made the ones that mattered the most, closing it out at the end. 6 assists for Trey Young, so he's not getting, first 2 games, he's not getting to that normal 10 that we're used to seeing. But again, I believe that you have to let the offense still continue to gel. This team is still gelling. So it's only 2 games. I don't expect them to be able to gel in just 2 games. So continuously be patient with the Atlanta Hawks, I believe, as well. But 2 steals for Trey Young, 1 block, 1 turnover, no fouls for Trey Young. 25 points and was a plus 8 on the evening. Now the thing about what Trey Young is for me, the shooting night wasn't the best, but for Trey Young, he did it again. When it mattered the most, Trey Young showed up for the Atlanta Hawks. He showed up in the clutch times just like he did last season, showing up with a clutch floater, showing up, being able to control the offense, being able to control who the Magic are fouling. Yeah, you're going to foul me. So ultimately, Trey Young, he stepped up. Again, what it mattered the most in the fourth quarter, finishing with those 25 points, but 11 of his 25 points did come in the fourth quarter, and while the Hawks went on that run. And then again, he have Trey making the go-ahead 3-pointer to put him up, and that was the 15-0 run. So I give him his credit, for that. But again, just continuously give effort on that defensive end. The thing that I dislike the most, I will say, tonight from Trey Young's defense, and it's something that he's done before. I respect it because I know he's looking for the call, but ultimately I just feel like he got to get up and get back. The times to where he drives and he doesn't get the call, he falls down on the ground or slides, whatever the case, and he doesn't just try to pop right back up to go after the defense or to get back on defense. That really grinds my gears when Trey does that, because I'm like, yeah, they didn't call foul. Get up, get after it, go after the defenders, or go after the offense now that is streaking down the floor, running the floor, trying to take advantage of the mismatches, being 5-on-4. And they did, and they was able to get a 3 off of it, and Trey Young wasn't even across half court yet. I just feel like stuff like that just can't happen out of my leader. So I just got to, talk about that. Not trying to disrespect anybody. I'm just being real. So, just ultimately, continuously give effort. But that's the entire team. But I'm just talking about in that particular right, just Trey Young. Trickling in a little bit more other stats. Great showing and rotation from Mr. Mo G tonight. 5 of 9, 55%, going 2 of 3 from the 3-point line. So he is still working on that. Gotta still work on those it's free, aka the free throws. Going 1 of 3 from there. I believe he can improve on that. He knocked down a couple more of those. He has 15 points because he finished with 13 points. Plus 21. The best plus minus of the night, by the way, for Mr. Mo G. Only 2 fouls, 3 turnovers, yeah. But, so 1 block, still 3 assists from Mo G. Gave you 8 big rebounds. Gave you 29 huge minutes with the absence of Kristaps Porzingis. So, Mo G, I salute you, my good man, because we needed every minute that you provided, and especially in that second half to where, really both halves, because he knocked down 3 in each half. But still, his shooting, his defense, his rebounding, all that helped tonight. So again, shout out to Mo G. Next guy, I would say, hello season debut for Mr. Vit Krejci, who gave you only about 13 minutes, but that's okay. He still was 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line. He came out kind of firing. I'm assuming Quin told him to find your shot, go ahead and shoot a couple and figure it out. He finished with 5 points, -9 on the plus minus, but he still finished with 5 points, gave you 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and also 1 foul. But I feel like overall it was still kind of quality minutes. Again, not having Zaccharie Risacher, that's where your depth had to come into play. Last thing I will have to say before I get into my last main topic for you guys before I get out of here. Asa Newell, love the fact that the young man was able to come in and play not even 4 minutes, but still was able to finish with 5 points, being a +9. He came in, knocked down a 3, a big 3, and the reason why that 3 was so big because the Hawks were still in the middle of their comeback when he knocked down his 3 as a rookie. That's pressure right there, but he was able to handle it and knock it down. Maybe some of that SEC play had something to do with that, playing with Georgia. Who knows? Either way it goes, Asa Newell was able to do it. And then the second time, Trae Young comes down, finds Asa Newell for the alley-oop dunk. Quick minutes for Asa Newell. Didn't get a lot, but it was effective. Effective 5 points for Asa Newell and representing for the Atlanta Hawks. Good job, ASAP. Good job. Now, last thing before I get up out of here. Mr. Quin Snyder. Continuing to work on the lineups, continuously trying to get this team to jail. I really feel like so far, the first 25 games, the only way the Atlanta Hawks survive these first 25 games, and I say 25 because I'm giving it 25 before I want to make a real, let's say, suggestion on how I feel or determination on how the Atlanta Hawks may finish the season regardless, etc. I'm giving it 25 games. I want to see how they react. But this man in this picture, our head coach Quin Snyder, we're going to go as far or as short as he can coach us. It is all on Quin Snyder. It's on the players too. Yes, don't get me wrong. I get I get that part. But to have the cohesion come together a little bit faster, for everything to buy in, the right philosophy and the right message has to be taught. I believe the right decisions have to be made too, as far as Quin as a head coach. Quin Snyder has to make the right decisions as far as lineups. There were a couple of lineups that were questionable tonight. You definitely can think about like with Luke Kennard, Keaton Wallace out there, Vit Krejci, so like some of those lineups I know you're giving guys minutes and you're trying to figure it out. And that's the thing that we have to give Quin Snyder a grain of salt with, and just a little bit of more patience with, because he is trying to figure this thing out, which lineups are the best to work with. That's going to take some time. That's not going to be a type thing, But ultimately, I still feel like The Atlanta Hawks are going to go as far as Quin Snyder can take them in the early stages of the season because he is the head coach. This team has to gel, get cohesion. It's a lot of different things the Atlanta Hawks still have to work out. Even with the 3-point shooting, we still have to get better at that because we did um, acquire some acquisitions that's supposed to make that better. But in the first two games, it has not been there for the Atlanta Hawks. So hopefully that will come as well as the team continuously looking to gel. But guys, I'm about to get up out of here. That has been my post game. We can't even just harp on it too long because we got to make a quick turnaround. The Hawks are probably on a plane right now, headed back to the Atlanta, Georgia State Farm Arena because guess who is going to be joining us there? The reigning, defending world champion Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's going to be a quick measuring stick. Hopefully we can be full healthy, but regardless, we're going to run whoever we can out there. Oklahoma City, hopefully we can catch those guys napping a little bit, maybe even tired because they've gone through back-to-back double overtimes. That's a lot of basketball. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is already near close to 100 points on the season already in 2 games. So these guys are going to be trying to get after it. You know they want to start the season 3-0. You know they want to continue to go strong. But guess what? The Atlanta Hawks, they need to start this season off fast. I've said that multiple times. And I will continuously to say it because I know people are looking on the outside, looking at the Hawks and saying, hey, man, you're going to lose this, you're going to lose that, you're going to lose this, especially after that loss to Toronto. One way to shut people's mouths was tonight to get in the win column, get you one, because that's the hardest one to get. And now it's time to try to shock the world and try to catch OKC, maybe a little tired after those back-to-back double overtime games. Maybe we can catch them. You never know. At the end of the day, we have to prepare ourselves to be ready for it. Hopefully, again, like I said, the Atlanta Hawks will be a little bit more healthy. Still not expecting Zaccharie Risacher in this particular game. I honestly expect him maybe by game 5. It all depends on how the ankle does. Keep your eye on Kristaps Porzingis, who is dealing with flu-like symptoms because, I mean, somebody has to guard Chet Holmgren, and I thought that Kristaps Porzingis would be the perfect candidate for that, correct? But we'll see what happens, so just look out for that as well. But until next time, guys, peace and blessings to you all, Hawks fans. And to you all, I'll holler.